Tottenham have made moves in the transfer window already this season, but they're looking to add to that with the signing of Eberechi Eze, who looks to join the club in the next coming days. Now in this video we're going to talk about exactly how he would fit into the Spurs side and how he could bring some of that central creation that they have needed in order to make them better. So let's get into it. Now, although Eberechi Eze ended up playing for Crystal Palace against Chelsea the other day, it is still quite clear that I think he will join Tottenham with the reported interest being around 55 to 60 million pounds. And I also do think he is a player that Tottenham do need. They've been looking for an attacking midfielder with the Gibbs-White deal falling through. So Eze is the perfect replacement for that player that they didn't get in. And I would argue probably a better one. Now, this was the team that they played against Burnley. In this midfield, it works in very weird ways. And there's sometimes different opposition moments where Sarr will come back and cover, Bergvall will come back and cover, and different moments like that. And I would say against Burnley specifically, you actually saw Sarr and Bergvall kind of play in these more attacking areas, while Gray was that more defensive type of player, which makes sense. But I think when you play other opponents, you will most likely see maybe Bergvall come back, maybe Sarr come back, play a little bit deeper and rotate in each time. Now, even though these players did well on the day, this free midfield is not really that attacking. Now, it's fine in games like against Burnley because I think specifically we'll talk about him another day, but Kudus was a really good dribbler. He kept getting to this byline and just creating chances. And I actually think Richarlison is a very good target man. In the area, he's crucial. He's just a bit of a vibrant player in these sort of areas, while you have Johnson running in behind, a very Thomas Frank sort of esque player. Now, when I look at these sort of teams, I look at, can Tottenham consistently create chances through the midfield, and how are Tottenham going to do when teams do set up against them? Because we know Tottenham as a team, like Chelsea, like a lot of these other teams nowadays, prefer this big transitional space that they can run into and get in behind. Specifically, that is something that Johnson loves on this left-hand side in this game, but right-hand side usually before Kudus came in. Now, when you bring an Eze in, there's two ways that he's going to come in, but he will come in for whoever this sort of left-sided player is. Now, Bergvall and Sarr do change quite a lot, and there's sometimes they do help within each other, but a lot of the time, especially Bergvall, is in these sort of half space areas within the box and has to create. And Bergvall's super young, super exciting, and can do loads of things. So I think personally you would keep him maybe in the team. So the problem is with that is obviously Sarr is the real engine of the team. He's the one that really covers a lot of ground. He's always just in the right positions. I mean, even some of the goals he has scored for Tottenham in his career have just been him finding his way in the box when they need it to. So it's definitely a conversation of who you take out of this midfield. Now, in the terms of these sort of games, Eze is going to come in this left half space. We'll just do it for Bergvall now, and control. A lot of the big Eze-like actions happen on this left-hand side where he is the most effective in these sort of areas. And then sometimes with the ball, he'll come inside. You usually see it to have a shot from these sort of areas, but he isn't someone that is going to do that all the time. I think as a natural attacking midfielder, he is still someone that prefers this left-hand side, which makes sense. All attacking midfielders kind of have a side they prefer. Now, specifically in these type of games, in these low blocky games against teams like Burnley that can't really do a lot when they play this disgusting 5-4-1 low block, which we actually saw Wolves do a lot of the time against City as well, which seems to be the norm. Eze is one of them players that you want, because when he picks the ball up in these sort of areas, he is not only able to dribble past players that come towards him going left or right, but he's very quick on an action. You will see something with Eze is that when he receives the ball, he's instantly on a pass off or thinking about something around him. It's almost like he has the idea of what he wants to do before it comes to him, which make him crucial. Now, he is really good in these areas because he's also someone that loves shooting. Now, maybe a little bit too much. I think a lot of the stats guys will tell you that he's quite wasteful and he shoots quite a lot from really far distances. And he does, but he is a very effective player from these areas. And we saw that in the games that he has played recently. Now, what this will do, this just intent of shooting will pull players towards him. You might see a centre-back have to come out or a midfielder have to come out to get to him. And this will obviously open up space for other players. Something that Eze really likes doing is doing this like slipped through ball pass to a proper striker. And I think Richarlison, you could argue, is that. He is a guy that will make these runs and will get into the box. But I think when we talk about someone like Solanke starting, then that gets even more fun because he's someone that loves running off this last defender and getting into the box with his physicality. Now, to show an example of that, it's this pre-season game here for Palace just a few weeks ago to give you the best idea. Eze can really receive inside these tight areas with a lot of the players around him. And then if we press play on this, you can see he receives it, he can turn, and there's a lot of players still like trying to tackle him. And instantly he can try and dribble past one to go the other way, and it ends up shifting that ball just out. He's someone that is very press resistant, so if players go on him, he is able to get that ball out when they need it to, so there's no problems, which which is something that I think is going to be important for maybe trying things against low blocks to get into these areas. If they work, he can push it forward to a striker who can hold the ball up like Solanke and then maybe run off that. If not, he can just pass it back and keep possession, which is very important. And in terms of these sort of teams that when they try to break out, they're not necessarily always going to be the quickest or the best at doing it. So what Eze can do really well, and he does it a lot and very effectively, is that he is able to win the ball back with a physical tackle like this, which really helps. Now, this is where he can come into these central areas and continue to progress the ball. This is where you will see him make these passes for the striker running in behind or passes out wide or shoot a lot of the time. Here he wins a foul, but it's the same sort of idea. And I think one of the most important things is for Tottenham is that getting this deep progression. When you have him in these deeper areas here, can he do a pass that is really far like for the rest? They don't really have these long passes throughout the team that much. You know, getting the ball to Kudus on this right-hand side is going to be very important for him to get them one-on-ones, but also just having the ability to go through the middle. He is a player that will be used to making these sort of passes to Mateta and running off them, and you can see here that he's able to find a pass through the back post of the winger running through and get that ball over the top, which is something that teams will want to press him for, which gives you even more space for other players. But Tottenham will create enough chaos, I think, against these low block sides that it won't be that much of an issue to get an Eze in. I think they'll be fine no matter what against them sort of teams. But the other big discussion is how is he going to fare against these big oppositions, and this is kind of where I think he is actually more being signed for. Now, against PSG, Tottenham played basically a 4-2-3-1. They had Sarr actually in this attacking midfield position, while I think they had a Gray and Bergvall midfield. It might have not been, but I think that was what it was in the DMs. Now, Sarr's a good player, but I don't think you want him to be an attacking midfielder. He's more of a good runner off the ball and, like I said, facilitator for other players, but he's not a natural creator. He's not someone that sits in between the lines as a proper central attacking midfielder, and like we said, can put them balls through for players. Not only is Eze obviously very good in them tight areas, so if people are coming towards him, he's able to keep the ball. He is someone that pushes off them and makes that run into these attacking areas. This is what allows him to be so effective and be so strong. And a lot of the time when you see him in these sort of opportunities away from the press and away from the midfield, so say he gets the ball in this position, it's a 4v4, and let's say maybe one of the fullbacks has gone up and actually it's a 3v3. This is where Eze will really thrive on the counter attack for the team actually created. He shoots quite a lot, and I still think he does shoot maybe a little bit too much, but he is someone that's even going to get a shot away early or able to put that ball through for the runners on either side, which I think will help Tottenham be a little bit more effective from outside the box and creativity wise. But also I think in these big games, it's that big player that you want to take players away for your attackers, which you can't always be derived on going down the wing and crossing the ball in. That's not always going to be the best system against big teams. And we saw them moments against Chelsea, you know, he's picking the ball up in these positions, you know, he's moving on a bit and he's able to even pass the ball out wide, which you probably expect him to do, and I think he does in this moment, but he can always slip the ball through. He brings two players towards him here where there's another player covering in this position and there's just no one here. The space is so big in the centre of the park, and out wide it's even bigger, both sides, this side it is as well, and it just gives space to everyone in them attacking areas and kind of allows the striker to kind of ghost in and do what he wants. And like we said, with quick movement, he is someone that will receive the ball in these areas, have the ball, and then instantly pass the ball off, and it just kind of unsettles play. It kind of makes sure people who are like shadow pressing, they can't get there in time, because as he's got the ball, 2 touches gone, and now this player, as you can see, is completely out of the game, which is a threat that just will keep happening. And I think Tottenham might need inside the channels while always being derived by this wing player, and I think that is very helpful. Not only that, set pieces he's brilliant at. He can be a great taker in replacement of Maddison, who is not there. He is someone that will help his teammates. He's physical under challenge when he needs to, incredible in the counter attack, and for a relatively good price, a great win now player. So I can understand why Tottenham are trying to get him in, with Arsenal not seeming like they want the player. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and please like and subscribe to any more Tottenham content that you guys want to see. Appreciate it as always. See you in the next one.